Hi, I'm Marvin Clark, and welcome to the Handy Capable Show. Today our guest is Tom Mozdzen. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good, good. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm married. I have 3 children. I work for Ford Motor Company. I'm an engineer, product engineer. I work in Dearborn. And I live here in West Bloomfield. And I also train in martial arts. And I have a club here at West Bloomfield. And that's my biggest hobby right now.
Great. So what prompted you to get into karate?
Well, as a young man, I was in an auto accident and I lost my right arm. And sometime after that, it was about a year, I had a little confrontation with another gentleman. I shouldn't call him a gentleman, but a confrontation with another person. Mm-hmm. And I found out that I was not capable of protecting myself anymore. Okay. And so the word got around, and a friend of mine said, well, maybe you should be involved in martial arts. Mm-hmm. And originally, that's the reason I got into it.
What are some of the hindrances?
Some of the hindrances of being handy-capable?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think some of the hindrances aren't my hindrances. I think it's a lot of the people not understanding, I think, where we're coming from and our capability. I think that's my biggest hindrance. It's with people not understanding us.
Okay. Upon receiving you, becoming handy-capable, was there an adjustment period?
Oh, yes. Yes, there's a big adjustment period for anyone that goes through a trauma such as an amputation, or yourself, as you know, mm-hmm. just as well as I do. I think the biggest problem is learning to be part of society again and finding a way of fitting in and getting that recognition that you are still, quote-unquote, normal. You're still a normal guy, and there are things you can do, and get away from the role of people coming across with more sympathy than help. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest one.
Was there a long adjustment period?
I guess there's certain times I'm still adjusting. You never really, I don't think you really get over it. I think you learn to adapt, and every day can be different. The adjustments can be physical or mental. Something as simple as getting a new pair of lace shoes that are wax laces instead of cotton, and learning how to tie wax shoelaces. Mm-hmm. So it's just a continuation. Putting on a shirt and they change the button sizes. So it's a continuous thing. Of course, it lessens as the years go on, and there's a lot of things you can laugh about, but I think it's a continuous effort.
Okay. Do you think we're discriminated against? Do you like the word handicapped?
No. There's such a word as handicapped?
Not that I know
of. The only way I relate to handicap is parking spots. That's about it. And bathroom facilities with the little symbol on them. I think the word handicap does not apply to people that have physical problems. Again, it's a state of mind being handicapped. Having one arm, or being in a wheelchair, or being bedridden does not make a person handicapped. Mm-hmm. Again, it's a state of mind. It's a terminology I think we should quit using.
Great. What would you show a paraplegic like myself?
Oh, I could show you that. Being in a wheelchair, again, someone would look at me and say, well, you've got one arm, how do you do that? Being in a wheelchair, you have a definite advantage. I can show you various techniques. Your hands, you have the reach of your arms. We could teach you takedowns. We could teach you braking techniques. Again, it's all a state of mind. Okay. There's, again, no such thing as handicap, so we can work. In fact, before this is over, we'll show you a couple routines. Okay. If you take the hand, if you're punching from here, you have a certain amount of power, like so. If you're punching from the best way from from point to point, the quickest way from point to point is a straight line. So if we can take our techniques and move them in a straight line, we save time for one. We take all the inertia, it's in a straight path, so we gain momentum and strength. So between the combination of two is we're standing and a punching technique, like so. A straight line technique, right down the middle. Now, so that's what I want you to do. I want you to pull that hand back here, and when you get him down, you want to keep him close to that chair. Okay, as you get him down, it's a straight punch. You want to lean into it a little bit. If you have to pull that hand closer to get that head near, and pop! Like I say, we're improvising. This is the first time I've done this. So if it would be me, if I was sitting down again in the same position, sometimes you have an advantage. Maybe if some girl wants to run off with you and you don't like the idea. If they're close, again, as you bring the arm down, the hair is a very nice way to get the person down and straight to the face. Especially, you know, they got a nice long hair. It makes it real neat. Just you pull the head down so you can pull the back neck, and you put them in an unbalanced position. And straight. Okay, let's try that. Again, you want to get that arm, you want to clasp it, then back of the head, and then drill it. Pop!
To make sure. Pop.
If you bring them to the chair, again, they're very vulnerable. Their face is a very tender area. You won't necessarily cause any permanent damage, but it's enough time for you to get away and do what you have to do, okay, which is exit.
Okay, exactly.
Okay? Well, that's about all I can think of right now. You're going to have to come down here, we're going to work more,
Okay.
and I'll come up with at least with another dozen.
All right.
I think my closing comments would be based not so much on the handy-capable as much as the people that would be watching this that are not handy-capable. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to learn from people that are handy-capable. Not a lesson in patience or a lesson in dignity, because we all have that, handicapped or not. But I think the biggest lesson is, again, we have to strive to make life easier for ourselves. We don't have the norm. Myself, again, having one hand, I have to learn to adapt. Mm-hmm. But learning to adapt, if people that are not handy-capable can study what I'm doing, mm-hmm. how I put together a big wheel, how I do some carpentry work at my house, mm-hmm. how Marv is going to learn some martial art techniques. Again, they can learn from us on a productive basis. Mm-hmm. We do have a lot of knowledge. The people out there, again, have to recognize that, and they have to look beyond the realm of getting excited over the fact that how can somebody do something like that. Let's not look at that, but let's look at how can we use this. Mm-hmm. How can we make our lives easier and for, quote, the normal out there? Mm-hmm. How can we learn to adapt mm-hmm. in an easier mode? This guy can do it, and he's making a living at it, mm-hmm. and he's functioning. Now, how can I work smarter than him? And use us for a reference. We'll tell you all the tricks.